This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Bumper Radio. Again, this Saturday, just like every Saturday at 11 o'clock here on News, KTAR News. I guess I almost messed that one up, huh? Anyway, I'm Matt Allen here along with my good friend Dave Riccio, and we're here to help you with your car today. So whether you're working on it in the garage or maybe you're just not sure if your car even needs work on it and you're looking for a shop to go to or have a question about something that's recently happened with your car, please feel free to give us a call. The show is about you and anything you want to talk about, so it's entirely your option. 602-277-5827. It's 602-277-KTAR. And if you'd like to participate by texting, maybe you can't call us right now or anything, you can do that at 411-923, as long as you're not driving, that is, because maybe Big Brother is watching you in your car and texting, and you might get in trouble. I don't know. They say don't text and drive, which we shouldn't. But your car is connected, or you're connected to the world with your cell phone in your car now, right, Dave?
Well, the technology is definitely there. You know, we had Jeremy did a little plug for us. Can the cops turn off your car in a high-speed chase? Well, probably not. Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, but 12 gauge maybe.
Right, exactly. Some stop sticks. But the technology technically is there. You know, you think about like with General Motors, they've got OnStar, so OnStar's looking after you. You get in a car accident, they can alert the authorities that you got in a car accident. And you wonder just how much information do they know about you and where you drive and where you go, and is Big Brother watching you?
Well, they might be, and maybe you want Big Brother to watch you, or maybe you're Big Brother. You're the Big Brother of your household. And what we're talking about is telematics. And telematics is the communication devices, or it's the connected car, really. And we have, like Dave said, we have telematics, the OnStar. That's a way not only to use your cell phone through the car, but it's sending data. It's the transfer of data from far away. I forget the breakdown of the word tele and matics, but it's just the transfer of computer data mobily. So you could have OnStar doing that. They know when you get in a crash because there's a sensor blows off the airbag, and the computer says, hey, when that thing goes off, I'm supposed to dial the phone and call somebody. I think that's a good thing, right?
Well, it's all there. And the other thing I think of is these insurance companies. They give you a little device you can plug into your car for 30 days, and you drive it around, and then you turn it in, and they say, okay, you're a good driver. You're going to get better. You're going to get better rates, or maybe you're going to get worse rates because they find out, well, this guy doesn't drive the mileage we thought he is. He's driving 3 times what he told us.
Right, and that's a form of telematics where it doesn't, you see Flo, she's going to give you the deal to get better rates from Progressive, and you plug that in. Well, that's not transferring data. That's just recording data. Maybe they do it for 30 days or something like that. And I'm not so sure what they look at, the insurance companies look at, what data. But they could look at things like start time, run time. That computer is going to tell you how long your car's been running for. So they know what time you go to work.
I think they all want to know about one thing, wide open throttle. And that's the thing I do all the time.
Well, that too, but they may not be. You're getting on the freeway. Maybe everybody goes to wide open throttle once a day or twice a day, getting on or off the freeway. You got a little four-banger. You need to get that thing wound up. You're going to flog it. Foot to the wood, right? But so that's a way where it could be another good thing. And then now with the iPhones and the Droids and all the smartphones, if you will, now everybody's coming out with these apps. You can take the little dongle and plug it into the car, and that communicates either with your phone or it's even got its own little built-in cellular device. You've got something similar down in your car, Dave.
Well, the reason it came up for me is I had a customer in my shop, and we rebuilt her transmission in her Porsche, and she said, oh, yeah, I let my son drive the Porsche, which I think is crazy. She said, but he's a good kid, and I'm glad all of our mothers thought we were good kids. But she said, no, I have a device on the car that sends me on my app, it sends me a notification if he goes over 85 miles an hour. And I'm like, oh, man, I've just been test driving this lady's car. No, I'm teasing. I didn't drive her car hard. But, I thought, that is actually, I don't necessarily know if I want Big Brother knowing where I'm going. But if I'm a dad and I've got a son that's driving a car that I'm responsible for, if he happens to run a bus full of lawyers off the road, I'm responsible at the end of the day. So I want to know what he's up to.
You might get some accolades for that, depending on what circles you run in. Well, so let's talk about some of the applications. We talked about the insurance. We talked about the convenience. Of having, the airbag goes off, maybe a life-saving event. I really like the idea of having the deal on your car when your kids go out.
Definitely.
And you can build a virtual fence, so you can draw a circle or go on the map and map out an area, and if the car leaves that area, you get a text alert.
So you know what's going on. He should be at school. Why is he over here?
Yeah, or between the hours of 8 o'clock a.m. and 2 p.m., the car should never even run. So, and you set that up so if the car starts during that time, boom, Mama gets a phone call. Or Mama gets a text message, find out what the heck little Johnny's doing.
Well, it's pretty cool. On my car, I have Smart Start, so I can start my car from my phone. When I'm in church and it's really hot out and I want to get the air conditioning going, I can start it because I'm really paying attention. So I get out to the car. It's nice and cool before I go. But the other one that was this customer brought to my attention was Drone Mobile. So I brought that up and took a little look at that. It's a little alarm that has a GPS tied to it, and then you can see a map of where all your kid went with your car.
Yeah, and then people ask, well, what if they unplug it? Well, it stops working, but then you got to note that they unplugged it too.
Right.
So then you call them and say, get your little behind home because
what are you doing unplugging the car?
The beatdown will commence when you get home because you must have done something that you didn't want me to see when you unplugged that car.
I would have been in horrible trouble if they would have had this when I was a kid. I mean, well, I'm sorry if you heard this and I did this to you, but we used to go grapefruiting when I was a kid. There was orchards down by Arcadia where I went to high school, and we just would go grapefruiting all night long. And that's what we did. That was our form of entertainment.
Right. Well,
you never did anything like that? Don't pretend you didn't.
Anything you say can and will be.
We didn't do mailbox. It's been longer than 7 years. We didn't do mailbox baseball. I heard that some kids did that.
So, Dave, you're taking it downhill. So, tracking teen drivers. That's obviously a good one. And you hear about the helicopter parent always hovering over. I don't think that's the case. I mean, you have a big liability. You have a child in your car. You're putting everything you own at risk. And, little Johnny's a good kid most of the time, but you start getting around peer pressure and things happen, God forbid, maybe they get a little liquid courage. And they start acting foolish in the car if they know you're watching. But the other thing that came up is when we were talking to Dave is maybe you have an elderly parent that lives out of state. You're not close by or even in state.
You want to put it on their car. And
how many times do we hear about somebody that went missing? I mean, what's it cost? $10 a month? Something like that?
Exactly.
It's pretty cheap.
There's initial install fee, something you would get done at the local stereo shop or, something like that. Yeah. Something you can probably get at Virginia Auto. I don't know. Are you guys putting these in?
We've installed one or two for customers. It's not something we're doing on a regular basis, but it's nothing difficult. They want power. They want some ground. You got to hook into the door lock if you want to have the phone to unlock and lock the doors and sound an alarm. You got to hook into the phone. But the rest of the controls, you're just plugging into the ALDL connector or the assembly line diagnostic link, the same place they plug into when you're going to get emissions tests. Same kind of deal. What about fleet maintenance? Maybe you've got a pest control company or you've got 2 or 3, alarm service company. You name your company, but these are a good thing. You can track the mileage, just all kinds of stuff, where the people are parking. If you had a problem with a consumer and you say, your guys were only at, you're doing Joe's lawn service and the customer says, you guys did a horrible job and they were only here for 20 minutes today. Well, no, Sally or Mr. Joe, whatever, I don't know, make up the name. I can see they were at your house for 40 minutes. I'm sorry we didn't do a good job, however you handle that. But you can actually have data to prove things.
So when we come back, we're taking your calls. Anything you want to talk about in your car, whether it's a repair you're considering or a car you want to purchase, anything you want to talk about, 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. We've got Brian, Robert, and Gene and a couple open lines. You're listening to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Are you looking for a refreshing change in customer service? I'm Lee Weatherby from Accurate Automotive. How about a refreshing change in your car repair relationship with honest, clear, and responsive service that looks out for your needs and not ours? For over 20 years, we've been delivering award-winning service provided by ASE certified technicians with one goal, looking out for your best interest. If it needs fixing, we'll tell you. If it doesn't, you'll know that too. I guarantee that you will not get that business-as-usual treatment at Accurate Automotive. Foreign and domestic, cars, trucks, and even fleet service, Accurate can handle your job. I invite you to come in and experience a refreshing difference in car repair and maintenance. Stop by for a free courtesy inspection, a $49 value. We feel it is well worth our investment in you because we know that good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. I'm Lee Weatherby, and I'll be there to greet you. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robeson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out at AccurateAutomotiveAZ.com today.
It's really coming down now, and that little voice is saying shoulda, coulda, woulda. You meant to call Kaiko Roofing last storm, but you didn't, did you? Now it's raining cats and dogs, and Mr. Shoulda, coulda, woulda is watching a puddle form on the ceiling. If the roof on your home or business is over 10 years old, get rid of shoulda, coulda, woulda. Call Kaiko Roofing at 602-944-4600 for a free checkup today. At Kaiko, we install peace of mind with the finest materials and the most skilled workers, all backed by the owner's pride guarantee. Flat, foam, tile, or shingle, Kaiko handles them all. From a small leak to a complete new roof, Kaiko has you covered. Since 1994, Kaiko has repaired or replaced tens of thousands of valley roofs. Over 50% of our business coming from referrals or repeat customers. In fact, over 98% of our customers say they would refer us to a friend. For more information and financing options, go to KaikoRoofing.com. Kaiko Roofing. We're crazy about quality.
Few cities are as car-centric as Phoenix, and this is the show that'll help you to better understand that machine you depend on to get around the valley. It's Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM and the KTAR app for Android and iPhone.
Well, welcome back. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we are helping you with your car. And Matt got stung by a scorpion this week. I've never been stung by a scorpion, and as a matter of fact, he's been stung by a scorpion twice. He must be not living right because that's the only reason you get stuck by those things.
Is that right? Yeah. This is number 2, man. That sucker nailed me.
You got to put shoes on when you go take out the trash.
No. I was walking to my bathroom, and it's right in my bathroom, and I guess if you've ever been shocked by my analogy is if you've ever been shocked by a 120 outlet, changing the light bulb or messing around with home electricity, you get zapped.
Oh yeah.
Well, take that on your toe, and then right when the zap goes over, just take a hammer and smash you right on the damn foot. Holy smokes, that thing hurt. And it's still, my toe is a little numb today still. But I'll tell you, within about 40 minutes, my face and cheeks were numb, and water tasted like acid, very alkali. It was pretty gnarly.
I pity the fool.
Well, we're going to go with Brian in Gilbert on a 1994 Chevrolet S10. Hey, Brian, you're on Bumper to Bumper Radio. What can we help you with?
Yeah, I have an ABS light that kicks on when I'm going about 65 miles an hour. Anything below that doesn't turn on. I'm trying to figure out what would be that.
Well, the ABS, Brian, is on that car. I'm not sure if that's 4-wheel. Do you know if that's front wheel or 3-wheel ABS, rear wheel with the 2 fronts, or rear wheel only?
I don't know. I just acquired the car. I don't know that much about it.
Okay. Well, I'll give you some basics on anti-lock brakes. The brakes probably on that truck. Anti-lock brake is just going to keep you from skidding. I think everybody knows that, and it will control the brake pressure so you don't skid and you stop faster. On your 94, it probably has rear wheel anti-lock. So there's going to be a sensor in the center of the rear differential that's monitoring the back, basically the rear axle. It's a solid, not a solid rear axle. So if one side of the rear locks up, they're both going to lock up. So they only look at the rear. So if it's related to a speed, you might have that sensor going bad. Other cars have 4-wheel anti-lock brakes instead of rear, and you would have a speed sensor at each wheel. And that sensor is going to send information back to the computer of how fast that particular wheel is spinning. So if you do get in a lockup situation, it sees 0 speed, it's going to release that wheel, And, it may skid for a little. I mean, when I say a little bit, I'm talking a microsecond. It's going to apply the brake and then let it go. So that's how the system works. I bet you're probably something related to a speed sensor.
Speed sensor is getting bad, and especially at that speed. But there is going to be a module for that analog brake system where someone can scan it and see. It's going to at least point you in the direction that maybe we do have a speed sensor issue, or maybe we have a pump issue. There's different things that could be going on there.
There's a number of different things. And we can look, for example, we can put a lab scope on that wheel speed sensor and then go drive the car and see maybe at 60 miles an hour, maybe that wheel speed sensor starts freaking out and we lose the signal. Then we might start with replacing the sensor if it has still had the proper power and ground supply unit to it. But somebody's going to need to get in there, find the codes. The good thing is your brakes are not going to fail. Your anti-lock brake system, when it goes bad, that's why the light is yellow, it just reverts back to a normal braking system. You'll be able to skid.
Thanks for the call, Brian. 602-277-5827. I'm going to go with a text here. This person has a 97 Lexus ES300 that has a misfire code specifically on cylinder number 3. Change the spark plugs, all the wires, and even the coil pack that would be controlling that cylinder. I'm curious if the O2 sensor could cause a misfire. Can an O2 sensor cause a misfire?
It can, but you're probably going to have, if it were an O2 sensor or an oxygen sensor, if it were to cause a misfire, I would believe it would cause the misfire on the entire bank of cylinders. So if that's 1, 2, 3 on that side, the oxygen sensor is not going to discriminate down to one cylinder.
It's going to be more of a random misfire type of thing.
Random or the entire bank, yes. Now, so you've done the coil, you've done the plug, you've done all the easy stuff. I guess the thing to do is maybe drop a compression gauge and at least get the compression off of that cylinder. If you're doing this work yourself, you could take a stethoscope or even a long screwdriver and put that up to your ear and put the tip of the screwdriver down on one fuel injector, not maybe 2 or 3 of the other ones, and get a idea of how they sound, what the noise makes, how they're ticking, and then go to the injector on the number 3 cylinder. You might find it has the same tick. That doesn't mean it's not dirty. We're just looking for, is it working at least?
And one other quick test, and I don't know how easy the injectors are to get to, is just to simply swap injector number 2 with injector number 3, put them back and forth, and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's a tough test.
That's a tough test.
I mean,
okay.
It's easy to do with the spark plug and the coil, but not so much with the fuel injector. But you've got to check, make sure you've got power to the fuel injector when it should have power. Is it pulsing? Is it getting direction from the computer to turn on fuel? You should also be able to look at the spark plug. You might be able to. You probably don't have your original spark plug that came out, but you could go online and maybe type in reading a spark plug, and if you look at that spark plug and compare it to the photographs, spark plugs look a certain way based on how they're burning. Rich spark plugs are black. Other ones that are burning coolant have buildup on them. Lean ones are really white. So the spark plug may tell the tale as well as what's happening.
Okay, we're going to go with Dan in Buckeye on a 2002 Ford F-150. How can we help you, Dan?
Yeah, I've got the F-150. It's a four-wheel drive, and I've got a transmission issue. When I put it in drive, the transmission basically goes crazy. It shifts up, it shifts down. I mean, it's just like slams really super hard. But if I kick it down into second and drive into second, it goes fine. It doesn't go all crazy. And then also when it's in drive, the overdrive light that's on the end of the gear shift it starts flashing like crazy as well.
Good luck with that. Next call. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm calling you guys.
Right, for sure. Well, the overdrive light flashing, that's like the check engine light would be to the engine, but it's for the transmission. So that there's a message in the computer as far as what is wrong with the transmission or what kind of a starting point. Now, when you put the vehicle in drive, the transmission operates differently than it does in the selection of the drive versus the manual 2 or the manual 1. It turns on a different band in manual 2 and manual 1 that's not there. But I think we could be starting to have a transmission issue where something is failing and causing that to be a problem. But, maybe not. Let's scan that thing and let's see what that code is, and we'll at least have a starting place for it.
And Dave, sometimes those overdrive lights, I've seen them where they just intermittently come on and off. I mean, probably not his problem, but in the past, I think most of them have worked their way out, but had problems with the buttons and the wires get pinched down in the shifter.
Yeah, that's real common on a lot of them where the tow haul button, like in a Chevrolet, won't work. Well, it's because the wire gets crimped. It's actually pretty common among Ford or Chevy or a lot of the brands because where that lever comes right down in the column, that wire gets pinched off in there. But you could definitely be having an electrical issue where it's not working electrically, when you're in the drive position, but you can manually operate the transmission. That certainly is a possibility. But it's not going to be something we're going to be able to diagnose here for you on the radio.
And that's like you say, Dave, that's an electronic transmission. So when you're diagnosing a problem like that, I think people tend to overlook the simple things. They'll go look at the transmission fluid first and say, "Oh, the transmission fluid is dirty. Let's get a service." Well, services are maintenance.
Nothing.
I mean, getting your teeth cleaned doesn't fix cavities. So, but some of the basics that people can start with, even maybe if it's a do-it-yourself or trying to save a little bit of money at home, make sure the battery cables are clean. If you got an electrical problem, we have got to have a battery that's good charge. And it has the ability to start the car well and have reserve, but you got to have good, clean connections on both the positive and the negative.
I had a customer that called me this week, and we had rebuilt his transmission about 3 months ago, and he was in for an oil change at his local, chain store, and they came up to the counter and they said, "Boy, your transmission fluid is really burnt. We need to get that taken care of." And so he called me like, "Hey, man, why the heck is my transmission fluid all burnt? You guys just rebuilt my transmission. How can that be?" I said, "Just bring it on down. You and I will look at it together in the parking lot, and I guarantee you it's cherry red." So he says, "Why does that happen?" I said, some people, either they didn't look or they just were a little overzealous selling you what you need. We'll be right back with more Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, this is Greg LaFonsi of Automotive Diagnostic Specialties. Long name, right? But we have a short, simple goal. Customer satisfaction is our number one priority, and everything else takes care of itself. Bumper to Bumper Radio approved. ADS is a family-owned and operated state-of-the-art repair facility that has an expert staff that for the second straight year has earned the coveted AAA Top Shop Award as one of the best shops in the nation. Just east of I-10 on Chandler Boulevard. Find us at automotivediagnosticspecialties.com.
Summer's winding down, Dave. It's back to school.
Yep. Check out my new Scooby-Doo lunchbox, Matt. Cool, huh?
Yeah, nice, Shaggy. And did you write your What My Car Did for Summer essay?
What? Is that due?
Join us Saturdays, 11 to noon, for Bumper to Bumper Radio on News Talk 92.3 KTAR.
And for the best car repair and body shops you can trust, it's bumpertobumperradio.com. Drive in anxious, cruise out feeling fine with Bumper to Bumper Radio. World class and in your own backyard. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is just around the corner at 7th Street in Virginia. And for over 19 years, they've been recognized as one of the best auto repair shops in the country. Voted Best Auto Repair by AZ Central, A+ rated by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranty, and complimentary transportation to and from your home or office. Virginia Auto. They're serious about service. See for yourself. VirginiaAutoservice.com. Who can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. Yes, we're the guys that are going to help you fix your car. Let me introduce myself for those of you who haven't been listening to the show for very long. I am Dave Riccio. I own a local transmission shop called Tri-City Transmission in Tempe. And next to me is Matt Allen, and Matt Allen owns Virginia Auto Service, which is at 7th Street in Virginia. And we've been just industry friends for years, and we are networked with a bunch of other shops. In every town, there's white hats and black hats. There's a lot of great shops in town, and what we try and do in this show is also promote those shops that really bring up the industry and keep it from having auto repair is nothing that people like. We know that. It's not necessarily fun, and we like to see, there's a lot of good people doing good auto repair, and we like to promote those guys and push those guys. And even if they're not part of the list at bumpertobumperradio.com, does not mean they're not great auto repair people. There's a lot of good people practicing auto repair, and there's a few bad seeds out there that stain the reputation of it for everybody. And it's a complicated product, and it's full of anxiety. So if Matt and I can help you with that, we are happy to. So if you want to go to our website, it's bumpertobumperradio.com if you're looking for a great shop. And while you're there, be sure to like Matt and I on Facebook. We find that we're just not that popular.
David, I think we talk a lot about things and people call with questions. Maybe, and it's not so much how do I make my car, which screw do I have to turn, but most of the emails that we get and most of the questions that we're faced with are how do I deal with a shop? And really, it all goes back to having a relationship. I think there's the overwhelming majority of the time, Dave, when we're talking about are you comfortable with that repair or somebody's worried about do I really need this? And it all goes back to a relationship. If you go to that mechanic, you go to that shop, and you've been there over time, and you're not what we call that orphan customer who just bounces around and follows coupons, if you develop that relationship, you never have to really worry. Do I need this, or is that true? And I got to tell you, if you have a good shop, stay there. I mean, we love that you're listening, and we can help you. Maybe you can give advice to a friend, or a coworker that's got a question on their car, or maybe even you want to ask something about what your mechanic did. That's fine. But if you have a great shop, don't jump ship just because we're talking about one. You really need to stay with where you are and maintain that relationship. However, if you need a shop and you're anxious or have anxiety about taking your car in, we can help you get rid of that. Call us, ask the question, bumpertobumperradio.com. And those shops there, they're just good people. That's the bottom line. Good people doing good business.
Good people, and they're very competent. So that's another part of being ethical and doing a good business. Do you belong in the business? Some people practice it that shouldn't be practicing it. They're all competent shops. We are going to go with a very patient Robert in Phoenix on a 1994 Nissan Pathfinder. How can we help you today, Robert?
Yeah, when I'm driving down the road, my check engine light goes on, and then right away my speedometer cable goes to 0. And then I'll be traveling for another 2 or 3 miles. The engine light turns off, and all of a sudden I'm traveling at 45 miles an hour, what it's indicating, or wherever speed I'm going.
Well,
and I'm wondering what that is.
Dave's already written it down and passed me a note. He was so fast with that. But I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that system worked, but Dave, go for it.
Well, I'm not familiar exactly with the Nissan one, but basically the check engine light, the computer is going to use something called a vehicle speed sensor. And a lot of times it's located on the rear differential. You talked about ABS earlier. A lot of times on a Nissan, I don't believe it is. I believe it is on the back of the transmission, but a vehicle speed sensor. Mm-hmm. So you have that. Some cars really have 2 vehicle speed sensors. One's even in the dashboard. So you mentioned speedometer cable. Speedometer cables really probably went away right about 1990, maybe mid-'80s.
Yeah, I mean, depends on the car. Yeah, it could have a speedometer cable. That would be... So one system that you're talking about, Dave, is you may have a speed sensor down on the transmission, and that's the output speed of the transmission. And they know if that is spinning this many RPMs, the vehicle is going to be traveling X miles per hour. That gets processed through the computer, and then the speedometer starts to spin up and go that mile an hour. The second thing, other style is they still use a cable, but on the back of the speedometer is what you're getting at.
Correct.
There's that vehicle speed sensor on the back of the speedometer. Either way, I doubt you have a speedometer cable that is intermittently not working. I mean, it's like a drill bit. It's typically either works or it doesn't work. Probably what you have happening is you have a vehicle speed sensor that with some heat possibly is cutting out. So that's why you lose the speedometer and the check engine light goes on. So that's a pretty simple
system.
On the surface, it's a pretty simple diagnosis.
Simple problem. But if it's a loose wire somewhere up underneath the dashboard, sometimes those are a little harder to find. But just at face value, yeah, it's a vehicle speed sensor challenge. So thanks so much for the call. We're going to go with Jim in Peoria on a 2004 Honda Pilot. How can we help you today, Jim?
Hey, sorry. Still there?
Yeah, we're here. Go ahead.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I've got a 2004 Honda Pilot. I was headed in the dealership the other day, and they said that the front and right side motor mounts needed to be replaced. And the diagnosis says they were, it says cracked / broken. I have not identified or had any any problems as far as hearing a clunk or feeling the motor shift or anything else. I want to find out how can I look and see if in fact the motor mounts need to be replaced, because that's a pretty pricey job.
Okay.
Well, on a Pilot, I believe there's a total of 5 mounts. So there's one up front, which is going to be underneath the radiator. So that's going to keep the motor's going to torque front to back in a front-wheel drive car. And there's also one on the back side between the back of the motor and the firewall down by where your feet is. So those are your 2 main, what we call torque mounts. They keep the rotation of the motor. On your passenger side, you're going to have your right mount, and that's probably the one, if they were talking about the right mount, that may have been the one they're referring to. That's really going to support the weight of the engine. And then on your left side, you're going to have 2 little mounts underneath the transmission.
Yeah, I think that one's even got 4 mounts. One of those Acuras and Hondas have 4 mounts on the transmission.
Yeah, there may be 3 on the transmission. So those are them. And the one thing that they're going to do when they're looking at mounts is they're going to literally, they're going to have the hood open, they're going to have the car running, and a guy sitting in the driver's seat with his foot on the brake. He's going to put it in drive, and he's going to torque or stall test the motor, and you're going to see how much the motor moves. And when you got a broken mount, boy, it'll jump.
So you're doing that by applying the brake, holding the brake firm, and then applying throttle or applying gas. And since the car's not going to go, you can't transfer the torque to the wheels. It's going to stay in the drivetrain and twist that engine upward and back.
Twist it, and then you're also going to put it in reverse to rotate it the other way to check the other mount, so the front and the back. Mm-hmm. So mounts on vehicles, you got a 2004, that vehicle's 10 years old. You may have bought mounts for it already, but maybe not. So you can go buy them one at a time. Hey, we need the right one and we need this one. But mounts last, 10 years, 100,000 miles. They don't go forever. They're just rubber and they eventually fail. So that's the one thing I always do is at least replace, the opposing mounts. So if I was doing the one under the radiator, I would do the one back on the firewall and maybe buy them as a pair. Some people like to do them all at once because sometimes there's a labor savings. We're kind of there. We're kind of doing it. Right. So, or you can buy them a la carte one at a time.
Well, in a couple of my comments on the engine mounts, you want to always make sure you're using a factory or an original equipment mount.
He's at the dealer. He's got to be getting a factory.
I'm just talking in general, and you don't have to go to the dealer to get those. We won't use an aftermarket mount at our shop. They just don't work. They are cheaper, and they're cheaper for a reason. But then you're talking about the positioning of the mounts, and sometimes it's a little funky. You have to call it the firewall side mount or the radiator side mount, because technically the left side of the engine, they might call the left mount, but the left side of the engine is actually towards the front of the car. So some of that nomenclature descriptions gets a little confusing at times. The other way that you can tell, now your front or back mount or the radiator side or the firewall side mount, that's going to clunk, or you put it in drive and maybe put it back to neutral, get all the tension off the drivetrain, and put it in drive again, and maybe just goose the throttle like you're going to go down the street. Sometimes you can just feel that thump, like someone's just hitting the floorboard. You might feel that in your feet, actually. The motor mount on the side, which I would call the timing belt side mount, or the front mount of the front of the engine, which I think they refer as the right side, you're really not going to feel that mount. You might be able to look over and see the engine slightly tipped towards that mount if it's collapsed or broken down.
And sometimes more vibration than you would normally feel in a car. The engine may be running fine, but you're still feeling vibration. That's the other way that mounts sometimes get recommended, is because we're feeling vibration. So that would be, and I would always say the factory mount is the way you want to go. And
the other thing, and we do it at our shop all the time, show and tell. And I think this is one of the benefits of using a small shop. And you're over in Peoria, there's Dave's Car Care, there's Kurt's Auto Repair up by Bell Road and 22nd Avenue. They will take you out in the shop and they will show you. Here's the mount, they'll jack it up. They get the flashlight on it. They can take a picture of it, whatever it is you want to do. And that's the beauty of using a small, locally owned shop. We want to prove. I really get excited when I get to take somebody out to the shop and I can show them what's wrong with their car, and there's no doubt ever. And I like doing it when people go, well, I don't care. No, come. I want you to see.
They'll say that. I don't really know because I don't know what I'm looking at. You know what? You can see what broken is. I mean, you'll be able to say, we put a pry bar between the motor and between the frame. We pry it, and when the motor mount is cracked, like that guy said, we'll actually see it pull apart. Mm-hmm. So that's something that you can see, but don't ever say you don't want to do it. And also, the thing you're looking for is if someone's going to give you a show and tell, you're looking for their concern and kind of the way they do business and how much they want to show you they love what they do. So thanks, Jim, for the call. We're going to go with Pauline in Glendale on a 2004 Dodge Durango. How can we help you, Pauline?
Hi. I would like to, first of all, just say thank you. I called maybe a couple of months ago. I had a massive oil leak, and you referred me to Dave's car care.
Okay.
And I didn't take it. I did not take it. I was so upset how much it was going to cost me. He actually told me it wouldn't cost me more than $100. I want you to know you were off $32.50.
Darn it.
I'm just so excited that I took my daughter with me, and she's in the process of buying a new car. And she said, I don't even have a car yet, but I do know it's coming to Dave's. I will not take it anyplace else. I want to say God bless you for this show, and thank you so much. They power washed my carriage, the undercarriage, and told me if I had any other problems, just bring it back, and I'm taking it there from now on. I just need to say thank you for this show. It's a blessing.
You're very welcome, Pauline, and we are blushing over here. That's what we love to hear, stuff like that.
That's great.
I can't help it. I'm almost ready to cry. I am so excited. I just moved here, and this truck broke down. I'm on Social Security. I got a child at Grand Canyon University trying to pay for that. I had no idea who was going to fix this truck. If it had not been for you, I'd still have oil in my driveway.
Well, again, Dave said you're making us blush a little bit. It's true. I'm very happy we're to help you. And anybody that's listening, and again, you have questions, just give us a call. We'll always point you in the right direction. And this case, it looks like it works out. Dave Denman over there does a wonderful job in the community. That man is more involved than anybody knows. That he tells anybody, but he's out there, and he's there to take care of people, and so I'm glad it worked out. Thanks for the call.
Well, it looks like we got Jake and Paulie, and maybe time for one more when we come back. It's 602-277-5827. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
Do you love your hybrid? Yep, we did too. Hi, my name is Brian. We bought our Prius to help with my wife's long commute back and forth to work. We love the get up and go and the fuel economy. But 8 years later, our MPG was eroding and the zip was gone. We tried everything from tune-ups to new tires. The dealership's answer was that's just the way it goes with hybrids, and that we were probably looking at a new battery at the cost of $4,000 to $6,000. Sound familiar? We were lost. Then we found the hybrid shop at Goodworks Auto Repair. They were able to condition our battery to like new for a fraction of the cost. The zip and the 40-plus MPG is back. We're in love again with our Prius and the hybrid shop at Goodworks Auto Repair.
Thanks for the kind words, Brian. Hi, Glenn Hayward for the hybrid shop at Goodworks Auto Repair. Fall in love again with your hybrid. For details, go to goodworksautorepair.com.
Hey, Gary McCord here. As a golf announcer, they make me stay quiet. But today, I'm screaming the news about the new PGA Tour Superstore. Believe me, there's nothing else quite like this, people. It's the biggest golf store you have ever seen. We're talking the best names in equipment and apparel. You can even get lessons from certified teaching pros. Excuse me for shouting, but you gotta get down here. Wow, that felt good to let loose. Come shop like a pro at the new PGA Tour Superstore in Scottsdale at East Mayo Boulevard in the 101 Scottsdale Shopping Center.
Hi, this is Greg LaFonsi of Automotive Diagnostic Specialties. Long name, right? But we have a short, simple goal. Customer satisfaction is our number one priority, and everything else takes care of itself. Bumper to Bumper Radio approved. ADS is a family-owned and operated state-of-the-art repair facility that has an expert staff that for the second straight year has earned the coveted AAA Top Shop Award as one of the best shops in the nation. Just east of I-10 on Chandler Boulevard. Find us at automotivediagnosticspecialties.com.
Who can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Matt and I were talking during the break, and we definitely remember talking to Pauline about her car. It's funny, when you're in the automotive business, we almost remember everything about every little car situation or everyone we talked to. Oh, yeah, it was that one lady. I talked to her about this and that and the other. And I definitely remember that phone call, so I'm glad Dave at Dave's Car Care was able to help her out.
It's funny the things we remember. I will run into people sometimes in the store, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, you got a Honda? you're driving to this, but sometimes you don't remember the name. But it's funny, all the weird things that we remember about cars or sounds. And
I don't know your name, but I know 5 years ago I did a clutch on your S10 with a 2.2 liter. Yes, good memory, but my name is John. That's what I hear. So we are going to go with Jake in Phoenix on a 2005 Toyota Corolla Sport. How can we help you today, Jake?
Jake, are you there?
I guess you picked the wrong one there. Polly in Scottsdale.
Maybe we did. Hold on. I got these phones all jacked up. The lights are all in the middle. Let's go back to Jake. Let me give this one more shot. Jake, did I get you this time?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right. How you guys doing? Thanks for taking my call.
No worries.
Hey, I just had a couple questions regarding this. The paint on my car on the hood and the roof. I guess it's probably from the sun fading it, and it's like really rough to the touch now. I want to see if maybe I can fix that myself at a low cost, or if I have to take it somewhere, do they have to repaint the whole car or just those spots?
Is it kind of turning white? Whatever the
a little bit. The way the sun hits it, it looks almost glittery sometimes. It's really weird.
I'm not sure. Too bad we don't have Kevin from I-17 Collision in here, because
I did see an infomercial on TV last week that showed me something I could rub on there that would make it like brand new.
Right? Sure. Well, yeah, Jake, I guess if you're up late nights with Dave, you can get some of that as seen on TV stuff. But I kind of doubt it. You might be able to buff or get some compound, but I think what's happening on there is the clear coat is peeling, and that's why you see that discoloration and the glitter. I've seen some of those where it looks like really bad swirl marks. I look at them and say, what are these? Somebody washing their car with steel wool or something, and it's the clear coat. So you might be able to get some temporary relief doing something yourself. And sometimes you can go in and they call it doing the tops. They can do the hood. It depends. If it went on if it's just the hood, if it went to the fenders, yeah, they can kind of blend those sometimes. It just depends. I mean, for a professional job, you're going to want to go to bumpertobumperradio.com. Pick one of the body shops there. You're in Phoenix. I like I-17 Collision at 23rd Avenue in Peoria. And have them take a look at it at least.
Well, in Tempe, we've got the guys down there at New Image, and in Scottsdale, we've got First Class Auto Body. So you may think of the bumper-to-bumper guys as nuts and bolts guys, but we also have a couple body shops that we personally use or refer our customers to. So
and there's another thing he said, I think, about low cost, or I didn't hear the word cheap, but paint shops can be expensive. And I got to tell you, we have a shop car. One of our loaner cars is a late model Honda Accord, and it needed paint. My buddy has the same car, and I took mine over at I-17 Collision and spent like $3,000 getting it painted. It was faded like that, but it was a lot worse. It was the hood, the roof, the doors. Well, he wanted to get the same thing done. He got the same estimate and cringed a little bit. And then he found like the penny saver paint guy, $299. Well, it wasn't $299. It ended up being about $799. So we got the $799 paint job, and then we parked it next to my car. And you talk about vomit in your mouth. I mean, he was sick to his stomach when he saw what that $700 or $299
I don't know.
paint job turned
I can roll a paint job on a car pretty well. I'll roll it right on out there.
Paint it with the best of them, right?
Well, we were going to go to Scottsdale on a 2009 GMC Sierra, and I think we've got Paulie, but correct me if I'm wrong on the name.
No, you guys are cool. How you doing, studs?
Doing good.
Good, man. Love this show forever, but never had a problem to call you guys about, so I'm glad to talk to you this morning.
What can we do for you?
Well, I just got this truck a couple months ago. It's a work truck on a pool biz, and the best way I can describe the trouble I'm having, this is for the tranny king, the Tri-City guy.
All right, Matt, you can just be quiet over there.
So you pull into a driveway. This is to describe the type of problem. You pull into a driveway and you put it in park, and you're on an incline, right? So when you go to leave the property, you start the car again, and you put it in reverse, and there's a clunk, because you're on an incline.
Yeah.
So what happens when you're sitting at a traffic light and that clunk happens while you're just sitting there?
That shouldn't
Almost
happen.
like the gear, the tranny goes out of gear and then kicks into gear. I don't feel anything until it clunks.
Dave, I'm hoping you help him with this, because my 2010 Toyota kind of does the same thing. You're sitting there, and then like maybe 10 seconds later, all of a sudden you feel like a release, like it just
yeah. And my other buddy that has a Toyota told me it happens to his Toyota too.
My Tundra does the same thing. So Dave, I will be listening.
How many miles are on your truck there, Polly?
It's about 65,000.
65,000. Well, that makes me confident they're not actually having a problem. The first question is it wasn't a question, but you were describing it. You know, when you pull in a driveway and you put it in park and it's on a hill. All cars do that. A lot of guys will like to pull up, and before they put it in park, they'll set the parking brake so they don't have that clunk when they pull it out of park again when they go to leave. But you're referring to, now on the GMC, one of the things that happens a lot, and I don't know, Matt described something a little different than I think you were describing, but a lot of those clunks when you come to a stop and you leave a stop can be related to the drive line or the slip yoke. So that's one of the things that came to mind when you said that. And we see these things, they get dry, and when you come up to a stop, the suspension compresses, and then when you go to leave again, it will uncompress and then squat again, and that drive line will give you that nice little clunk. So that's one of the things. And then the other thing people feel they'll pull up to a stop is the transmission will actually downshift after they stopped, and they'll feel that little change. Do you think that's what you're referring to, Matt?
No, mine's weird. I mean, I drive my car pretty hard. I accelerate heavy and brake heavy. But when I was sitting at it, and I've got, I don't know how many miles, 55,000 maybe. It's a 2010 Tundra. So I'll pull up to the light, and I'll be sitting there and still foot on the brake and drive, and it just feels like there's a release, kind of like your knee pops, and it just lets go. You can almost feel the truck move a little bit, and then or other times you go to accelerate and you just feel it's just something in the drive line, and that I haven't even looked at the truck yet. I'm probably 7,000 miles overdue for my oil change and service because I'm always crazy busy. But I was thinking about the slip yoke, and you didn't. I don't think you described what that is. Where the transmission, when the suspension moves up and down, that drive line gets longer and shorter. So that's got to slip in and out of the transmission, and there's some lubricant on those splines. So I was going to start by lubricating that and see if that helped, and then.
I would do that, and I think sometimes what you're feeling on those Toyotas, sometimes you'll come to a stop and then you'll feel it downshift, and that gives you that little sensation. But maybe if you knew a good tranny guy, you could get that looked at. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Bree, for running the dials. If you're looking for a friendly, honest, competent shop, bumpertobumperradio.com. While you're there, be sure to like Matt and I on Facebook.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and Bumper to Bumper Radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Golf fans, it's time to celebrate. This is big, and we mean really big. Come join Bunker to Bunker the Golf Show as they broadcast live on Saturday, October 25th from the grand opening of the new PGA Tour Superstore in North Scottsdale, just south of the 101 on East Mayo Boulevard off Scottsdale Road. More than $30,000 worth of free stuff will be given away to the first customers who visit. Callaway irons, tailor-made drivers, rangefinders, apparel, footwear, balls, rounds of golf, and much more. This is a big deal. Don't miss it.
Hi, I'm Scott, General Manager with Whitey's Auto Repair here in South Scottsdale. We built a reputation for quality auto service and repair for over 45 years, and our customers have come to trust us for our recommendations. We value that trust, and that's why when it comes to transmissions, for the past several decades, we have been recommending Tri-City Transmission. They have yet to disappoint. I feel so strongly about it, I wouldn't go anywhere else. Why would you? Google them online today at tricitytransmission.com. Go where the pros go. Tri-City Transmission.
Hey, Gary McCord here. As a golf announcer, they make me stay quiet. But today, I'm screaming the news about the new PGA Tour Superstore. Believe me, there's nothing else quite like this, people. It's the biggest golf store you have ever seen. We're talking the best names in equipment and apparel. You can even get lessons from certified teaching pros. Excuse me for shouting, but you gotta get down here. Wow, that felt good to let loose. Come shop.